Imagine standing inside one of the busiest subway stations in Tokyo during rush hour. Thousands of people move in every direction, yet the space feels strangely quiet. Now look a little closer. You notice a small child, maybe 5 years old, sitting calmly beside their mother. No tablet in their hands, no loud crying, no begging for candy, just quiet patience. It makes you wonder something interesting. Why do nearly 80% of parents in the United States report feeling overwhelmed by daily tantrums, while in Japan, children often seem to show an almost unbelievable level of patience and self-control? Many people assume the reason is strict discipline or fear of punishment, but that assumption is actually wrong. In reality, it's almost the opposite. Studies from institutions such as the University of Tokyo suggest that the difference comes from a powerful psychological approach to parenting that many Western families have never even heard about. So, if you're currently dealing with a child who refuses to listen, or if your home often feels like a constant cycle of shouting, frustration, and timeouts, what you're about to learn may completely change the way you think about raising children. Most of us in cities like Chicago or Los Angeles grew up with a very behavior-based idea of discipline. And a child behaves badly, we punish them. If they behave well, we reward them with stickers or treats. We are often taught that children try to manipulate adults and that parents must break the will early so kids learn who is in charge. And that's how the familiar yelling cycle begins. You ask Michael to clean up his toys. He ignores you. You repeat yourself louder. Still nothing. Eventually, your voice becomes a shout. Only then does he slowly move. But there's a biological problem with that strategy. When a parent yells, the child's brain activates the amygdala, the region responsible for the fight or flight response. Stress hormones like cortisol surge through the body, and that chemical reaction actually shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, reasoning, and cooperation. In other words, when we shout in order to force obedience, we accidentally make it neurologically harder for our children to listen. Instead of creating cooperation, we create stress. Over time, this can lead to kids who are reactive, anxious, and emotionally disconnected from their parents. But many parents in Japan approach discipline very differently. Instead of power struggles, they follow a philosophy often described as ikuji, a mindset focused on nurturing development rather than forcing behavior. This philosophy includes several guiding principles that help build a deep relationship of respect between parent and child. The first principle is related to a concept often translated as discipline, but the meaning is different. In Japan, the idea is closer to beautiful training. Discipline is not something you impose on a child. It's a lifestyle you demonstrate through everyday actions. And that leads to the first powerful practice, skinship. Long-term studies comparing parenting cultures have found that Japanese mothers emphasize physical closeness much more than many American mothers. In the United States, parents are frequently advised to encourage independence early, separate rooms, independent sleeping, and minimal carrying. In Japan, the approach is different. Young children often sleep in the same room as their parents for many years, and physical closeness is very common. This closeness increases oxytocin, the hormone responsible for bonding and emotional safety. At the same time, it lowers baseline stress hormones. When children feel secure early in life, they naturally develop a stronger desire to cooperate with their parents later in life. The second principle focuses on proximity. You rarely see a Japanese parent yelling instructions from across a playground. If a child is misbehaving, the parent calmly walks over, kneels to the child's level, and speaks quietly. This simple shift changes everything. Imagine a parent in Miami shouting from the kitchen, "Stop that right now!" To a child, that distant voice can feel like a threat. But when a parent comes close and speaks softly, the child's brain engages its social connection system instead of its threat response. Cooperation becomes easier because the child feels guided rather than attacked. The third principle is based on a cultural idea called meiwaku, which roughly means causing trouble for others. In many Western households, the focus is on individual rights. Children often hear things like, "That's mine," or "I want it now." But in Japan, children are taught very early to think about how their behavior affects the group. Instead of saying, "Don't run because I told you not to," a parent might say, "If you run here, someone downstairs might be disturbed." The message encourages empathy rather than obedience through authority. Next comes an idea known as gaman. This word is often translated as patience or endurance, but in parenting, it really means learning to tolerate uncomfortable emotions without reacting immediately. Imagine a child in New York asking for candy at the checkout line. When the child begins crying, the parent may feel embarrassed and either give in or respond with anger. A parent practicing gaman does something different. They acknowledge the feeling. "I can see that you really want that candy." And they stay calm and allow the child to experience the feeling without distraction or bribery. Over time, this strengthens the brain's ability to delay gratification, a skill strongly connected with long-term success later in life. Let's look at a real example. A father named John in Houston struggled with his 6-year-old son's constant frustration and anger. After learning about another Japanese principle called shoku iku, or food education, he decided to try something new. In Japan, mealtime is more than just eating. Children help serve food, participate in preparation, and clean up afterward. There is even a moment of gratitude for the meal. When John began involving his son in cooking and cleanup at home, something interesting happened. Within 3 weeks, his son's entitlement-driven tantrums decreased significantly. The child no longer felt like someone being served. He felt like part of a team. Another important principle involves independence. In Tokyo, it's common to see children as young as 7 navigating public transportation on their own. In cities like Los Angeles, many people would panic at the sight. But Japanese parents gradually introduce small responsibilities, walking to a nearby store, running simple errands. These small challenges help children develop self-confidence. When kids feel capable, they are less likely to seek control through defiance. They already feel powerful, in a healthy way. The next rule focuses on communication. Instead of using a hard no in every situation, many parents use what could be called the mirror method. If a child becomes upset, the parent reflects the feeling. "You seem really frustrated that we have to leave the park." When children feel understood, their nervous system relaxes. Once they feel seen, they become more willing to cooperate. And the final principle might be the most important of all: modeling behavior. There is a Japanese saying that translates roughly to, "A child learns from the back of their parent." In other words, children study what adults do more than what adults say. If we want children who speak calmly, we must demonstrate calm speech. If we want patience, we must show patience, even when they are at their most difficult. To make these ideas practical, think of a simple framework called CALM. C stands for connection before correction. Always connect with your child before giving an instruction. A stands for attachment. Spend at least 15 minutes each day focused only on your child. L represents logical limits. Explain the reason behind rules rather than saying, "because I said so." M stands for modeling. Children copy what they see. Let's imagine a real-life moment. Sarah is shopping in a grocery store in Chicago. Her daughter Mia spots a toy and wants it immediately. The typical reaction might be, "No, put it back. We're not buying that today." Mia starts crying. Sarah becomes embarrassed and says sharply, "Stop or we're leaving." Stress rises and nobody learns anything. Now imagine the calm approach. Sarah kneels beside Mia. "That toy looks really fun, doesn't it?" Mia nods while still upset. Sarah continues gently. "It's hard to leave it here. Let's practice being patient together." They place the toy back on the shelf and say thank you for looking at it. The ritual acknowledges the feeling without triggering a battle. If you want to start using these ideas, try a simple plan. In the first 2 weeks, focus only on proximity. Stop shouting instructions from another room. Walk to your child before speaking. Weeks 3 and 4 focus on connection. Increase physical affection, hugs, sitting close, playful contact. This helps your child associate you with safety rather than authority. By the second month, begin teaching empathy. Use everyday examples to show how actions affect others. Of course, change doesn't always happen immediately. Sometimes when parents stop yelling, children briefly become more difficult. Psychologists call this an extinction burst. The child is testing whether the old pattern will return. If that happens, stay consistent. When they get louder, you stay calmer. If they push away, offer connection. One mother in Boston tried a unique strategy with her son who had nightly meltdowns. She decided that whenever he screamed, she would only respond in a whisper. Within 3 days, his meltdown shortened dramatically. Power struggles disappear when one person refuses to fight. Advanced parents even use a technique called anticipation. If you know a situation will be stressful, like an airport trip, you practice it at home through role play. Children rehearse the calm behavior before the real event happens. When these traditional ideas combine with modern neuroscience, the result isn't just obedient children. It creates families with deeper harmony. But adopting this style requires a mindset shift. You are not the commander of your child. You are their guide. So remember the key points. Reduce the yelling, build strong physical connection, teach empathy and patience, and most importantly, lead through your own behavior. Right after this video ends, try something simple. Find your child and give them a quiet 10-second hug. No lectures, no instructions, just connection. Tomorrow, try the proximity rule. Walk to them instead of calling from across the house. If you practice these steps for just 1 week, you may begin to notice a different response from your child. If you're ready to break the yelling cycle and bring more harmony into your home, comment the word harmony below. And in the next video, we'll explore another fascinating topic, the Japanese approach to raising children who aren't picky eaters. You won't want to miss it.